Our daily Bible reading and devotion for April 5th. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, beginning in verse 40. Now when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And there came a man named Jairus, who was ruler of a synagogue. And falling at Jesus' feet, he implored him to come to his house, for he had an only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. As Jesus went, the people pressed around him. And there was a woman who had had a discharge of blood for 12 years. And though she had spent all her living on physicians, she could not be healed by anyone. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately her discharge of blood ceased. And Jesus said, "Who was it that touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowd's surrounding you, and all are pressing in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I perceive that power has gone out from me." And when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling, and falling down before him, declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him, and how she had been immediately healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone from the ruler's house came and said, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher any more." But Jesus, on hearing this, answered him, "Do not fear, only believe, and she will be well." And when he came to the house, he allowed no one to enter with him except Peter and John and James, and the father and mother of the child. And all were weeping and mourning for her. But he said, "Do not weep, for she is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him, knowing she was dead. But taking her by the hand, he called, saying, "Child, arise." And her spirit returned, and she got up at once. And he directed that something should be given her to eat. And her parents were amazed, but he charged them to tell no one what had happened. Our devotional thoughts for today. Few things in this life can equal the scope of human suffering, especially that which extends over a long period of time. Chronic illnesses and chronic pain sufferers know little comfort in this world, for every thought seems to focus on the pain at hand. Luke's account tells us that this woman could not be healed by anyone. Mark's account gives us even more stunning details of her ordeal, as we find in Mark chapter 5 and verses 25 and 26. It tells us a woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years and had endured much at the hands of many physicians, and had spent all that she had and was not helped at all, but rather had grown worse. Imagine what it must have been like for that woman. 12 years of false hope, suffering at the hands of the physicians, bankrupting herself in the process. Not only wasn't healed, but the condition had grown worse. There are many today who can attest to this in their own lives, those who have found no relief in the care of physicians. It may well be that no cure is available, yet many are brought along by false hope of a possible cure. What this woman must have felt upon hearing of this man of Galilee that people claim could heal, but alas, a problem in her plan. Remember, under the law, anyone with a discharge of blood was unclean and thus could not approach those who were holy. We read from Leviticus 15:25, if a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, it tells us that she is unclean. Her only hope was to secretly touch his cloak and be healed. What faith! Jesus recognizes her faith and rewards her with healing. She was willing to take that chance, and because of that, Jesus calls her daughter. What a term of endearment that goes beyond the pleasantries and shows ultimately her relationship to him by faith. A relationship we can all share if we too are willing to take that chance when all else has failed. A question for the day. Have you ever been forced by desperation to try something that all odds are against? And a thought to meditate on this day. The gospel reaches out to those of this world, whether desperate or not, to offer peace and healing of the heart, by forgiveness. And those are our thoughts for today, April 4th.